him. So I think this is just the beginning of the clown show, Piers.
Yeah, I'm afraid I think you're right. Harry Sisson, you were very gung-ho last time you came on, and you very artfully cut up parts of our discussion last time to make it look like I'd given a warm and emphatic endorsement of President Biden. So let me start our conversation today by being crystal clear. I think he should quit immediately to give the Democrats any hope. And frankly, either way now, I suspect Donald Trump has got his election in the bag. Over to you, Harry.
Well, also, Piers, I saw you retweeted an article where it said you tore up a liberal TikToker, so we're just playing the same game. No,
I don't disagree with you.
There you go. I love it. Look, President Biden should be the nominee. I wonder where Dave got his MD, where he got his degree to specialize in neurology. And I just find it funny how he's saying, oh, we shouldn't respect Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre, but I'm sure that he's voting for the convicted felon and the proven sexual abuser who defamed his victim, and he gives his respect to him every single day. But,
hey, Harry, do you think that Joe Biden is cognitively able to be president? Yes or no?
Yes, I do. You can check out the neurology report he had earlier this year in February where there said there was no concern, no cognitive disorder. That's coming from an actual doctor, actual neurologist.
We're all making this up. Everything we see every day, the inability to say one complete sentence. We're all making it up.
I don't know. Watch his speeches. You should watch his speech he gave in Philly the other day at the church. It was fabulous. It was incredibly moving.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Okay. Let's watch
him. Off its
hang on. Let's watch it since Harry wants to see a clip from the church. Let's take a look at what happened in the church.
Let us stand together. Oh, at the cross, where I first saw the light.
He has no idea what he's doing there, Harry. He doesn't know what day it is.
Gosh.
It's actually really disturbing to watch Joe Biden in public these days. He doesn't know where he is or what he's doing. He's the president of the United States. We're now told he has to go to bed, early. He can't be up, working past 4 o'clock in the afternoon because he's too elderly and infirm. He's the president of the United States. He's the leader of the free world. This is a sick joke, literally, because the man is unfit mentally and physically to do the job. You know that, Harry. In your heart, you know that.
You played a clip of the man sitting there. Does either Krystal or Dave look like they're out of it? No, they're just sitting there just looking at the camera, just like Joe Biden is just sitting there. He wasn't doing anything. You're trying to frame an innocent video and give a nefarious explanation for it. Come on, Piers, let's be honest about this. There was a neurology report in February where he was cleared by an actual doctor, an actual neurologist, and that's what we should be focusing on. Not these weird selective clips that conservatives, not saying you, Piers, but conservatives push on social media.
All right, let me bring
that's just complete nonsense. That's utter nonsense. It's weird to be so young and so sold out for the system. I got to tell you, it's really bizarre. Everyone knows that the man cannot say one complete sentence off the top of his head without slurring. The teleprompter reading is horrible. And even in the Joe Scarborough and Stephanopoulos interviews post-debate, they were both probably worse than the debate. So the people trying to help him right now are actually making it worse by letting him speak.
Let me bring in, hang on. Let me bring in Krystal. You've been waiting very patiently. Krystal, I'm in London at the moment. I've got to say, the real problem for Joe Biden, he's become a complete laughingstock around the world. I mean, there are jokes being made about him all day long here. Doing a Biden means that you've basically lost the plot. Not knowing where you are, what you're doing is doing a Biden and so on. When a president becomes a complete laughingstock like this, and there's ample evidence on camera of his clear cognitive decline, where does this leave America right now?
Well, it's an utter and complete disaster. And I know a lot of the discussion focuses on November and can he beat Trump and the electoralism, et cetera, but we need to be asking the question, who's running the country right now? And I think given the level of decline that we saw at the debate, it also becomes a lot more clear why his policy, for example, in Israel has been such a failure, why he's gotten repeatedly run over by Netanyahu, has just continued to supply weapons in spite of what is a clear genocide at this point. The failures are here and now. And so it's incredibly pressing. And Piers, you make a great point. Some of the first people to really sound the alarm in recent days were G7 leaders who were shocked by his decline. Now, Dave is right that some of us on the left and some on the right have been talking about this manifest decline over a number of years. But if you compare him just to 2020, it's quite astonishing. So, one thing I would say is, very well what Harry and other defenders would be saying if the shoe was on the other foot. If you had Trump displaying clear signs of Parkinson's, which I'm not an expert, I'm not diagnosing him, but multiple doctors have come out and said these are classic symptoms of Parkinson's. You learned that a Parkinson's expert had visited the White House 8 times in 8 months, and the White House completely stonewalled when asked why that expert was there. One other thing to add to your thesis that this is all becoming quite Trumpian is the fact that his physician, who Harry's, hanging his hat on, giving him the clean bill of health, et cetera, he's a personal family friend and business associate of the president's brother. There's a very Ronnie Jackson political crony kind of a situation, too, with his personal physician. You should not trust a word that comes out of this White House at this point, just as you should never have trusted a word that came out of the Trump White House last time around. I mean,
look, the problem, Harry, you've got is that Karine Jean-Pierre is there every day saying stuff that then gets completely contradicted within hours. Originally the excuse for the debate performance was he had a bad cold. Then it was he had jet lag 2 weeks after he got home. I mean, none of this makes any sense. Right? The truth is that there's something going on here and we're not being told the truth. That's the truth. And it's been going on for years. I mean, I've written a lot of columns for the New York Post in which I've continually expressed serious concern about Joe Biden's cognitive decline and his physical performance, the way he kept stumbling over, falling off bikes, tripping down Air Force One, face planting on stage at one event. But it's also the continual gaffes where he keeps saying things the White House have to immediately rein back. This is a quite dangerous situation, I think, where the most powerful man in America right now is not able to function properly at his job at a time when the world feels quite perilous and needs a sharp president of the United States. Do you not think that? I mean, when you watch him, do you feel remotely reassured that he's completely in charge here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is all just hyperbole. Like, this is nonsense. I don't know why we're talking about Biden's mental state when we can just look at his record, right? But let's focus on the policy, the results, and not just like, oh, Joe Biden looks weird in this one clip. 15 million jobs, historic investment in infrastructure, the largest since Eisenhower, expanding veterans' healthcare, capping insulin at $35 a month. The list goes on. Donald Trump couldn't dream of doing these things. So for me, as a young voter, I'm looking at who's going to get the job done, who's going to make the country better, and that's Joe Biden. Donald Trump has no policy to run on, and his defenders will go around saying, oh, the felonies don't matter, oh, the sexual abuse doesn't matter, oh, the business fraud doesn't matter, but then they have no policy to even justify voting for that guy.
Harry, you're going to still be here when Joe Biden is long gone. So running cover for a guy that clearly is not capable for the job is not a long-term strategy for your career. That's just a little career advice for you. But in terms of the policies, look, I'm not a Democrat. I don't support any of Joe Biden's policies, but the policies objectively have been horrible. 7 to 10, some people say 12 million illegals in this country in 3+ years. The interest rates, the mortgage rates, the crime in blue cities, the drugs that have been brought in, the fentanyl crisis. We have the disasters across the world that if we had projected any strength would not be happening. We all know all of this. And I say that as someone that doesn't support the guy, but as an American, it's like getting onto a plane. Would you prefer that the pilot be able to actually fly the plane or not? So whether I like the policies or not, or agree or not, I would like the president to be competent, to be able to literally say one sentence without slurring or getting.
Wait, hold on.
I'm not in the cult. I already wasn't voting for Joe Biden because of the genocide in Gaza. I'm voting for Dr. Jill Stein. However, there were things that I liked about his domestic policy that I support, right? So, Harry, if you love the Biden policies, don't you want a candidate that can actually talk about those policies, that can actually run on those policies and win? Because right now, it's incredibly clear. Biden is literally the weakest Democrat that you could possibly put up. And also, by the way, I'm sure that you're the type that thinks that Donald Trump getting reelected is dangerous, as I do, and it's an existential threat. You have no credibility to say those things anymore because you are sacrificing the chance to beat him to this cult of personality that you clearly have bought into.
Oh, Krystal, come on now. You got to be voting for Joe Biden. I mean, when Donald Trump, if he wins and appoints a bunch of extreme justices, I'm sure you'll be upset at that vote at that point. No, Joe Biden has incumbency advantage.
I personally have a moral red line when it comes to genocide, okay?
Aren't they? I mean, right. Harry, when you watch this, I mean, I don't know. Listen, I don't know if you have elderly relatives, but I have had a lot of elderly relatives. If that was one of mine in their 80s, in Joe Biden's condition, I would feel deeply uncomfortable about encouraging him to continue what is one of the most stressful jobs in the world.
I just find it interesting, the conversation we're having surrounding that clip. Like Jill Biden just like, yeah, just don't scream at me. I'll answer your question. No problem. And nobody,
but she didn't answer the question. She didn't answer them.
I mean, just generally, I mean, she just said,
she didn't mean
she just said, just don't scream at me.
No, she was using that as a way to get in the car. Yeah, but
I think that the reason what I was going to say is it's interesting that we're having this conversation about this clip when, like, during Trump's presidency, he revoked Jim Acosta's press pass because he didn't like the questions and he called the media the enemy of the people. I mean, Jill Biden's just like, don't scream at me, and we're analyzing this clip. How about we well, of course you'd say that, Dave. You're praying to the cult leader. You're too far gone. I think we should be talking about Donald Trump's attacks to the media, calling him the enemy of people. It doesn't matter. You're supporting him now.
Is the enemy
so
of the people.
You're too far gone, Dave. You're too far gone, Dave.
The mainstream media are the very people who got us into this mess in the first place. If they would have been honest with us for the last 4 years about his mental decline, he probably wouldn't have been the nominee 4 years ago and certainly wouldn't be this time. But they ran cover for him, and the only reason we're in this situation, and you, unfortunately, are having to run cover for a guy that simply does not care about you or the country and doesn't know what he cares about, is because they lied to us the entire time. If they had done their job, if they had done what I think I was trying to do, what Piers was trying to do, what Tyrus was trying to do, and many other people online, just calling balls and strikes, there's something wrong with the guy, we have all known it, then we would not be in this situation. But we are in a perilous situation as a country right now because the media didn't hold him to account, and she's pissed about
Dave,
that because now she's getting real questions.
And Dave, I'm sure you're an honest journalist who covered President Biden's neurological exam in February, right? You read the report where it found that there was nothing wrong with him. You were honest about that, right? There was no running cover for your guy, Donald Trump.
I don't consider myself a journalist. I give people
whatever
my
you call yourself,
but I don't
leader,
think anyone at
sure.
CNN or New York Times or Washington Post is a journalist either. But sometimes, Harry, and again, you might learn this with age, sometimes the system kind of lies, and sometimes the system runs cover for people in power. And it will all leak one day. It will all break.
Dave, did you or did you not cover President Biden's neurological exam? Did you or did you not cover that on your platforms?
You know what I find quite touching, Harry, is that Harry, you seem to be the last person left in America who's actually believing what the White House is saying about all this. When what is crystal clear is that they've been misleading the American people and the American media for a very long time. Why are you believing them?
Piers, spare me that Joe Biden is running cover and we're lying to the American people. This is a transparent administration. And again, I just find it funny that we're talking about transparency issues with Biden when Donald Trump is the biggest liar known to man. He's one of the worst people in American politics when it comes to dishonesty.
Donald Trump is not the current,
averaging around 20
Harry, here's
a day.
The difference.
It's remarkable.
Here's the difference. Donald Trump is not the current president of the United States. He's not the commander-in-chief.
But he could be.
Yeah, but he's not.
But also, Harry,
he's not. Your guy is. Let me ask.
I agree with you.
Let me ask Tyrus.
I agree with you. Donald Trump sucks. You should want to defeat him. You're backing the weakest candidate possible.
And I do, and that's why I'm voting. And that's why I want the guy who's the incumbent to stay in. 7 out of the 10 last incumbents have won re-election.
Okay,
that is the
I want to bring it.
And maybe Chris, if we got on board, we could have a higher
everyone talks.
one.
I can't hear everyone. Let me just. And Harry, I think I know where this is going. But who do you think the two nominees will be in the end, and who will win?
Yeah, it's going to be Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, and then Joe Biden's going to win. And Piers, I'd love to chat with you after the election, and maybe everybody on this panel, and then have everybody say, "Oh, well, maybe we were wrong. Maybe we were."
Well, you're a big TikTok influencer, right? So
I'll be on a date.
You've got a few.
Good for you, man.
You've made a few dollars, Harry. So why don't we have a little wager? $10,000 to a charity of your choice. I say Biden can't possibly win. You think he can? If Biden is not president, come the day after the election, 10,000 to charity?
I personally don't bet on politics. I'm happy to have another bet to do something with charity. We can do something, absolutely no problem.
But you wouldn't put your money where your mouth is on Biden, then?
I don't bet on politics. I mean, we can do something else. You can arrange it. I'm happy to donate money to charity. Let's do like St. Jude or something like that.
But just to be clear, you wouldn't do a charity bet if it's Biden involved.
I wouldn't bet on a Democratic race that's 99% likely for the Democrat. I just don't bet on politics as a fundamental.
Right. Even though it's 99.9% certain that Biden will win, you think?
Yeah, even though I think Biden will win, and even though I think Biden will win and people will reject the convicted felon, the sexual abuser, yeah, I personally don't bet on politics.
Okay, well, thank you to my panel. The clock is ticking. My personal prediction is that I think Biden will be forced to step down. I think they will go for probably someone like Gretchen or Gavin Newsom, maybe one of those, I think, rather than Kamala. I might be wrong, but I've got a feeling it's going to be a slightly left field person that comes through. And I think Trump wins quite comfortably. We shall see. Thank you to my panel.